That's absolutely true. It's the uncertainty of what's going to happen because the details will come out next week. Having said that, though, Richard, let's mark March 1, 2018 as when the first shot was fired in the first battle. I'm not going to call it a trade war, but wars usually start with one battle. And this is a big one because this is not tariffs on one country. These are global tariffs. And what will bother our trading partners the most is that we are using the justification of national security when it is well known that the Department of Defense buys about 3% of what we produce domestically and a lot less than that if you take into account imports. So this is going to be a tough one to justify, and there will be retaliation. There will be a response, and I think it's extremely unfortunate.
So I shall use the word trade war because in that sense, it begs the question, is the situation so desperate as relates to steel and steel imports that it was necessary to take these steps with tariffs, particularly since the president has talked about China, and China isn't even in the top 10 of countries exporting steel to the United States?
Yeah, the top country is Canada. So we get about 41% of our steel from Canada, a similar number for aluminum. Canada's an ally. So it's hard to say that we're doing this for national security reasons. And as you say, very little of the steel comes from China. So it's this whole idea of, first of all, the global tariffs, which means it's, every country in the world. And second of all, it's the national security justification. And the unintended consequence will be that our inputs will be more expensive, which means that our prices to consumers will be more expensive. And that could reduce sales, and that could reduce jobs. So this is most likely going to be a self-inflicted wound that will go on for a while.
You speak as somebody who was a secretary in a Republican administration who is anti-tariff in that sense as a matter of political philosophy. So I ask you, how does a Republican president manage to make such a mess of something like tariffs on something as important as steel?
Well, look, my guess at that question is that this is something that President Trump has always felt that needed some attention. Trade. He always felt that we were getting taken for a ride when it came to trade. So he's always believed this. But I think the way to do it is surgically.
Right.
If there's a country that's dumping, if there's a product that's being dumped, if there are unfair trade practices, but this is a shotgun approach. This hits the whole world. Right. So it's very unfortunate, and essentially we're going to see the whole world respond.